Unanipea madaraka yenye sio yangu.
You've been given the sword.
Yeah. You've been given the sword, but even Miguna gave Nani the sword.
Who?
Miguna gave Baba the sword. Yeah.
Mock swearing in.
Yeah, no, it was not mock swearing. There's actually a swearing in. It was not mock. There was nothing mockery about it.
It was a mock-up.
It was a mock-up.
No.
So, people of the internet, today I am in the studio with Joakim Simiyu and Umundi Ochoka. We are going to be talking about the issue of terrorism that the government came out and said that Boniface Mwangi is actually a terrorist and is being arraigned in court for terrorism charges. The question I want to ask you, gentlemen, Mr. Joakim, is that when I think about terrorism, I think about Dusit 2. When I think about terrorism, I think about Westgate Mall. When I think about terrorism, I think about the army officers that were blown into bits in Lamu, or was it in Kilifi? I think it was in Kilifi.
Yes.
You know, and few other things. When there is a terrorist in town, the U.S. government knows, and they're giving their people and their citizens
travel advice.
Travel advice. That there's gonna be something going down in Nairobi.
Yes.
You know, so what came to mind when you heard that Boni has been arrested on terrorism charges?
I first of all, I laughed because, as you've said, terrorism is a very huge word. You know, when you mention terrorism, the names that come in mind are ISIS, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, big names. But now, you're saying someone was found in the house with the 2 canisters of tear gas. So let's assume Boniface had canisters of tear gas.
Okay.
How do you lob a tear gas canister with bare hands? You need a firearm.
Yeah.
Did they find a firearm that can be used to lob tear gas? No. A cartridge of a used bullet. So let me say you have a G3. You fired a bullet 700 meters away from where you are into the crowd. How genius are you to go looking for that
specific bullet?
Yes.
Cartridge.
How good are you to go and still look for that?
Wait. There's something I'm not getting here.
Yes.
They are claiming that he has a gun for which they found the cartridges.
No, they only published the used bullet. And
the gun was not mentioned.
Yes, the gun was not mentioned. With some notebooks. I didn't know that terrorists have notebooks.
Keep notes and journals.
And journals. I really wondered. And now, it's not the first time terrorism is being used to clamp down on dissenting voices. Even Dedan Kimathi faced the same. He was called a terrorist. You see, in our constitution, I don't know which chapter, but the constitution outlines where terrorism is. Like if the actions are extremism that leads to mass murder and destruction of property, that can be categorized as terrorism. But political agitation cannot be defined as terrorism. For Boniface Mwangi, it's purely political agitation. It has nothing to do with terrorism. You know, it's one thing to charge someone with something, but it's a completely different thing to prove that this person is actually a terrorist. Even a class 1 kid right now knows that Boniface Mwangi is not a terrorist. Terrorism is usually tied with some extreme religious beliefs. So which religion does Boniface Mwangi belong to? Because I'm not... And at what time did they realize that Boniface Mwangi is actually a terrorist? How did they identify all of a sudden? Because I was also mentioned in that list of people who are sponsoring terrorism and chaos.
Were you?
Yes, I was mentioned. They mentioned Boniface Mwangi, Jimmy Wanjigi as the biggest financier. They mentioned Hussein Khalid in Coast, Okiom Tata, and two other guys.
They had a list that they were reading.
Yes, someone released some, is it a documentary or something like that? A blog.
Or a blog?
Yes. And the day after that, Boniface Mwangi was arrested. And this government is very capable of doing very crazy things. You know, they can decide, they decide for themselves what they are going to find in your house.
If we explain what that means.
They can decide to find a gun in your house. We are going to Jagero's house, and these are the things we want to find in that house. We want to find a gun there. We want to find
It reminds me of there was a time that it was very common when a petty thief would be gunned down in the street.
Yes.
And there would be something called bonoko.
Yes,
You
yes.
remember?
Yes, yes, yes.
They'd
yes.
leave a counterfeit
Gun.
gun on your body.
Yes.
So that because at that time there was a lot of heat on extrajudicial killings.
Yes.
So they would leave a gun and maybe a cartridge so that they have an excuse to having used lethal force.
Yes.
So the government is very good at manufacturing that which they feel is a counter argument to dissenting voices, like he has said.
The problem that I find is that, anyway, you are telling me the story of the government being capable of finding anything in your house.
Looking at the things they found in Boniface Mwangi's house, I think they decided to find those things there. And the story is very escapist. You know, for you to be a terrorist, capable of doing mass murder, you have to be very organized and very good at getting away with what you have done. I don't think there is any terrorist that can use a gun and later on they find a bullet cartridge in his house. I don't think so. Actually, in criminal investigation, when they suspect you to have committed a very serious crime, like robbery with violence, you are a hitman, when they come to your house, they usually look at how organized are you. If they find that your house is meticulously arranged, then they have a reason to believe that you can actually commit that crime. But someone who is careless cannot be a criminal. You have to be very sharp. So if they come to your house and they find dirty utensils and this guy is not a criminal. So even by finding 2 tear gas canisters in the house of Boniface Mwangi, it brings a lot of doubts. It means this guy is not even capable of doing anything. Mpaka unapatikana na tear gas.
Implicating evidence.
Yes. You can't implicate yourself in such very serious crimes. People who do such things, they lead very simple lives out there. He could be staying outside his house, and you will never know. But it just, like I said, is efforts by government to, first of all, intimidate anyone who is thinking of criticizing the government. They want you to see the kind of consequences that are there, so that in fear there will be no much opposition, so that they can rule easily. That's their game plan. That's where this whole terrorism charges comes from. Otherwise, there's nothing big. How can you, he was let free on 1 million bond.
Yeah.
A terrorist. So they just let a terrorist go because of 1 million. If it's a terrorist, nothing like that happens. Because this guy is capable of doing
blowing up the whole.
He can come back and blow up the court. So why are you letting him go if he's actually a terrorist? Even people who are opposed to William Ruto are saying, hey, even those who are supporting Ruto. Asema, hey, sisi tunasema kumi bila break, lakini kusema we Boniface Mwangi ni terrorist. Hey, hapana. Yeah, imekuja sana.
Bila break like hey.
Hii Boniface Mwangi kuwa terrorist hii hapana. So because they have not taken time to think about what could be leading young people to engage themselves in protests. They are not thinking about what is motivating the young people. And as far as they are not thinking about it, there will be a recurrence of protests, and it will not stop. People are only taking a break, breathing. They will come back. They can deal with Boniface Mwangi, maybe lock him up. But as far as they have not dealt with the issues, there will be another Boniface Mwangi. There will be another person. Because the issues will come and the people will actually find very good reasons to come to the streets. I told you the other day a story. You are a young lady, 23 years. Maybe you just graduated from university last year. You have a young kid. You got pregnant while in school. And now you have a very good degree tucked under the box. You live under your mother's roof. You know, ladies at some age, they usually disagree with their mothers a lot. These are two women under one roof. Everyone wants the house to be the way they want. So there are a lot of squabbles. Now that you are 23, jobless with a degree, you really want to go stay elsewhere. But you are not capable because you don't have a job. There's no way you can get a job. And again, you don't want to stay under your mother's roof. Na katika hiyo kukwaruzana, the mother, out of frustration because she has taken you to school and you are still here, says, tafuta bwana wewe. Know that now it rattles this lady. Now the lady starts thinking about the men in her life who can actually be a husband. He thinks about one, alimuuliza credo ya 100, hajatuma. Johanna. The other one, they cannot be husbands. They are all struggling. Let's say even 5 men in her DM, they cannot marry her. Not because they don't want to. It's because they cannot manage the expenses of marriage and having someone. And this lady she's been told to get married. So frustrations keep piling up. And because she's educated, she knows where the problem is. That I don't have a job. I'm forced to stay in one house with my mom because there is mismanagement of resources. The government, there are things that it can do for us to get a job. And that person hears that there is protests tomorrow. What can stop that person from coming to the streets? It's the only time they can come and express their frustration. Mtu anasimama karibu na tear gas, alie without being judged. Because you have a lot of problems and you can't just cry. So unaenda mahali kuna tear gas, watu wanadhani unalia tear gas, kumbe unalia zile shida uko nazo. Unafikiria, how am I going to survive this? So if the government is not going to think about the things motivating young people coming to the streets, why are they protesting? They are not thinking about it. They are talking about, so and so is inciting. You can't incite someone to do what they don't want to. I'm a grown-up. I go to protest because I have reasons. And because you have not asked me why you are demonizing the act of demonstrating without trying to understand why are you first of all demonstrating. And the people who are actually against protesting are people who taught us how to protest. Most people who are very angry with us who are protesting now are teachers of how to protest. The people in ODM are the ones who taught us how to protest. There is something I said on this podcast. I've received a lot of messages. Oh, you are insulting Baba. I go back to the video and look for a place. Which insult? Where did I insult Baba? So I don't reply those messages. I just read and then rewatch the video. So I never insulted anyone.
What do you think they're saying? What is the insult that you think they refer to?
When I say that Baba will have negotiated with the Dedan, it peeled back the mask, and I think they are very, very angry with that. But again,
do you think it's something that he should have said or he should not have said it?
We are in a free country, and Baba himself has always been advocating for free speech.
Yeah.
Yes, that we can disagree based on principle. And that's what I've been doing. So why should they feel bitter? Like someone tells me, the direction you are taking, now it's wrong. Mimi, Joakim, I have supported Raila for a very long time. No one in ODM sent me a message to say, hey, thank you very much. You've been supporting Baba. Leo, they are sending me messages to say, you are now insulting Baba, which means they used to see me supporting him, but they ignored. Why do they have a problem with it now? I think the biggest problem this party has is that they thought they are the only ones who can organize protests. And today they are saying protests being done without them. Even if they don't want it, it still happens. Ile kitu unafanyanga ulipwe, mtu akifanya bure unakasirika sana.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? This is why these people have a problem.
Maybe, let's say you do this podcast for a living.
Okay.
This is where you get money from. Okay. Then someone starts doing it for free. Then you will lose the market because people can get these same services elsewhere freely. So you will get very angry with the one who has created the podcast, the other place.
Are you saying that before Mandamano has been monetized?
Yes.
How so?
Commercialized. When we go to protest, it's actually combination of a lot of interests. Let's say Baba is leading, he has no problem with bei ya unga. Completely, he has no problem because he can afford it anyhow. But then again, he can't tell you he does not have a problem with it. For you to come, and so he looks like he has a lot of people coming, he must tell you a problem that you have. He tells you, unga imepanda. Unaangalia hivyo naona kweli unga imepanda. Sasa waambia punda amechoka. So, one, there is a person demonstrating because bei ya unga. There's a thief who is demonstrating because during those chaotic times, he can get a phone or two. That's a whole different interest. Baba himself is demonstrating because he wants the server to be opened and he feels like he's been rigged out of election. That is his biggest issue, which is no problem.
Yeah.
I cannot demonstrate because of server because I was not the one who was rigged out. I come because of bei ya unga. That is what concerns me.
Okay.
So during protests, it's a whole combination of interests coming. There's someone who is in that protest to be in solidarity with Baba so that at the time of elections, he can get an ODM ticket. Wakumbuka alikuwa na sisi kwa maandamano, pea yeye ticket. It's about, every time you see conflict, it's about money. Something is wrong with the flow of money somewhere. Everywhere. We have a problem with Ruto because of money, purely that. He's eating alone. We can see him driving around in very expensive vehicles. But then again, you look at the other people, they are suffering. I was in Kitui the other day. Very interior, a place called Kavisuni. When you walk around this country, there are places you see levels of poverty and you are like, where am I? There is a real danger of poverty out there. And when you look at the number of people in the streets from 2022 up to now, they have like doubled. Every street in Nairobi has some street families. We no longer have street children. It's street families. Someone in the street with his 4 children. It's not because these people don't like staying in houses. It's because they have a problem with affording to stay in the house. So those are the things that are informing people to protest. But what's the response of government? Charge those people who are protesting with the terrorism. If the fight for my survival is terrorism, so be it. If when I try to raise my voice to fight for rights that I know are mine is going to be dubbed an act of terror, then it's okay. Actually, if there are terrorists in this country, then it's the same government that is being a terrorist government. Al-Shabaab, we fear Al-Shabaab. Ukisikia jina Al-Shabaab, unasema we, security is not guaranteed here. But Al-Shabaab from 2013 up to now, they have killed 197 people. Coronavirus, as dreadful as it was, it killed 80 people. In
80?
This country, yes. In this country, it killed 80.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's the official number.
Yes.
80 people?
80, yes. But President Ruto, from 2022 up to now, his government has killed 601.
Where are you getting that number, bro?
Statistics, bro. Statistics.
The Kenya Human Rights Commission.
Yes. And National Bureau of Statistics published that number. 601 people dead. Why? The government is involved somehow. So between Al-Shabaab and President Ruto's government, who is a terrorist? He's killed more than Corona and Al-Shabaab combined. That's a problem. So between President Ruto's government and Boniface Mwangi, who should be charged with the terrorism? Who? No, there's a very big irony here. Because, when I was growing up, children used to bury their parents. We only had an issue of orphans, children without parents. But right now, parents are burying their children.
Parents are the orphans now.
Yes. A 12-year-old young girl in her father's house watching TV was hit by a bullet. They are calling it stray bullet. Okay, let's assume this stray bullet that hit this young girl went to the real target that was intended to be killed. Who would that person be? Will that be a goon, a protester, or who? I'm trying to imagine. It hit Njoki because it was bad luck. She was not meant to be hit, but it was meant to go somewhere. Where was it going, that bullet? Those are the questions we are asking. If a young girl watching TV in her father's house can be hit by a bullet, then who is safe? If Ojwang was just about to have lunch in Homa Bay, very interior, they plugged him there. He ended up dead the following morning. Then who is safe? The guy is selling masks without anything that could threaten anyone's life was shot point blank. then they go and pick someone and charge him with terrorism. When we know that Denzel Omondi was found in a ditch somewhere in Juja with his ankles broken, which means, and the postmortem report shows that there was water in his lungs, which means he was thrown into that ditch with his hands and ankles broken, so he couldn't even swim because it's very painful, so he drowned. The government up to now has never found the person who was responsible with that. But they can somehow find a bullet and the tear gas canisters in Boniface Mwangi's. Yes. You can see how things are very ironical here. So, this question.
How are they charging him? What is the law saying, Ochuk, about the charge for Boniface Mwangi?
The charge, they are basing it on the Prevention of Terrorism Act of 2012.
Was it 2014 or 2012?
2012.
Yes.
So, and before we get there, let's break down something that you have hinted as well. How governments, not just in Africa, but all over the world actually, fascist governments manufacture terrorists. They scapegoat somebody who they believe is a dissenting voice to the regime, to the state. They make him a state threat, an enemy of the state. Remember, they say the state is a creature, a very brutal monster. So when you are an enemy of the state, it creates a very small but very brutal loop of lethal force, of bending constitution or laws. In other words, they can say that this guy is a threat to national security and therefore we can detain him incommunicado. We can detain him without having lawyers. We can detain him in an unmarked place where nobody can have access to him. And if you look at these scripts from Patrick Lumumba, I think yesterday the US government released some very big file on Martin Luther King Jr. And Luther King at some point was a terrorist. Patrick Lumumba was at some point a terrorist. Nelson Mandela was a terrorist at some point. So the script is more or less the same. And I want to link it to something very fundamental in terms of the big blunder the Kenyan government, the Kenya Kwanza government is making. I don't think they are forgetting where the issue of protest is coming from. I think they know. But I think they are taking it deliberately to bury their heads in the sand because they are still scapegoating. This is a government that is not very keen on accountability. We all know that. They would rather bypass it or push it to the next person, just bury their heads until it's long enough to manufacture the next lie, the next big stupid lie. Because it's the same. Look at how when the IG back then was asked about Westgate and he said it was just mattress burning. You look at the bullshitting that is happening through politics. It's the same thing with the Kenya Kwanza government. And it's world over. So when we come back to the Terrorism Act of 2012, you realize that they are able to now bend freedom of speech and freedom of expression and association. Understand? These are very fundamental rights of any Kenyan, of any age, of whatever background, that you are allowed to go to the street and picket and demonstrate as long as you had already notified the police. You understand? So Boniface Mwangi comes, and it also shows a very big nakedness in terms of on the place of the government, because how long does it take you, if the protest happened in June, how long does it take you to detect that there were actually terror activities going on?
1 year down the line?
1 year down the line?
Really?
You understand? Because I believe that NIS or the DCI or whatever is supposed to be having some intel. And like we say, terrorism or terror is such a big word because it is the biggest capital error towards the state. So for you to come up with it, you need to really have some very solid proof. Otherwise, you will be creating a loop where when the government feels like Joakim is going that direction they don't like, then they plaster a charge on you, a bullshit charge. And this is why we are saying that how the PTA Act of 2012 comes in is they are creating a scenario where they are able to bend the rules. When Matiang'i was bullshitting through court orders saying we cannot obey them because national security, that is the same case that is happening right now, because they're looping in and out until they feel they can be able to get away with breaking.
Just a minute, Nani.
It's all right. You come back and there's also something very interesting. All along, particularly for my boys Mtaani, there's been so many issues in terms of what we call the penal code. Now, the penal code was amended in, I think, 2018. But something peculiar comes when you walk and you have a rasta and you're just on your way maybe from work. You're likely marked by the police because at one point, Didan Kimathi had dreadlocks. And so ideally, that's the image of a thief. That's the image of somebody who's loitering the streets or is about to conduct maybe public disobedience or public disruption of order. These are the same charges that Boni is being charged with. In other words, they are creating an enmity between somebody they believe is the source of the protest, like a centerpiece for the protest, without regarding the fact that people are so tired that they do not need a centerpiece.
Do you think Boniface Mwangi is, how deeply involved is Boniface Mwangi in the agitation? Because I remember in the first demonstrations of 2024, June, he was actually having a problem with the Gen Z on the streets because he was sort of trying to be their leader and giving them direction on the way to go about the protests. And I think that the Gen Z were actually protested against him and told him that you are not our leader, and so on and so forth. So perhaps the question I'm asking is, the arrest of Boniface Mwangi, what is the bigger picture here? Because why have they not, for example, gone to a Gen Z at the University of Nairobi? Why have they not gone to somebody in Kisumu or in Mombasa? Why is it that they have started at Courage Base?
You arrest someone whose name rings a bell whenever you mention it. You know, you can't go and arrest someone at the University of Nairobi that the one in Kisumu doesn't know. Boniface Mwangi is a good target because nearly every corner of the country, someone has an idea of who Boniface Mwangi is. He's been involved in activism for some time now. Is it 10 years? Something like that.
Probably more.
Yes, probably more. So, a person who has been in activism and he's been leading social justice movements, so he thought Gen Z is just another social justice movement that he can give direction. But then again, this one was very amorphous. You can't give anyone direction. So I think it was just an attempt to tell them, hey, I am Boniface Mwangi, the one you know. This is how to go. And they are like, hey, my friend, that's not the way we are going. Whenever we have an organized center of power, that's where the compromise comes from. So we are going to be amorphous so that there is no one to call to the table. I think that's the issue that Boniface Mwangi had with agencies. And now the arrest of Boniface Mwangi is just, they are dealing with a name that nearly everyone knows. So you hear that Boniface Mwangi, someone who has been in activism for more than 10 years, is now being charged with the terrorism. And they now want the public to have doubts in you. So that next time you initiate something, people are like, this is the terrorist we were talking about. Yeah, so they can label you like, you are not the person they think you are. They want to tell the public that this Boniface Mwangi, who has been pretending to be your protector, is actually your enemy.
The legitimizing.
Yes, yes. He's your enemy. If there is anyone to deal with first before you even come to us, it's Boniface. So that's what they are doing. That's why they didn't come for anyone else.
Something that is very interesting to me, Chuka and Joakim, is that it's amazing that it's a good thing that Boniface Mwangi could afford 1 million Kenya shillings to deposit with the government and then be left free to go and bathe with warm water at home. But how about the rest of them? The rest of us who cannot afford 1 million?
That's the other bigger picture that is coming up here. Remember, when Boniface Mwangi was sexually assaulted in TZ, and I'll also connect the next bigger picture.
Yeah.
Ideally, what that communicates is if we can take, because they, just like you said, Boniface Mwangi is known across East Africa. So if we can get to Boniface Mwangi, you, the next average Kenyan citizen, you can be touched. So that actually is a way of instilling fear and terror, and that actually confirms that the biggest terrorist is the state.
Is the state.
Yes, is the President Ruto, because this is the source where the buck stops. Number two, this thing also coincides with Boniface Mwangi had gone to the East African Court of Justice, yes?
Yeah, and asked for to be paid 29 million. Is it 121 or 129?
Yes. So in terms of, when we're looking in terms of foreign relations, we know that Tanzania and Kenya are Siamese twins in terms of constitutional bankruptcy, moral fracture, all those things, ugliness. The ugliness we see here is the same ugliness that Miss Samia is actually doing in Tanzania. So when somebody is embarrassed by being called out, because dictators and authoritarian people don't like to be called out. They don't like to be accountable. So I feel like there might be a setup in terms of how do we get to these people who are embarrassing us. In fact, it's sort of like a collusion between these two presidents. I don't know whether that makes sense, but I feel like
it does make sense, because it was too quick.
Yes.
After he lodged his complaint at the East African Court, it was too quick.
Almost like a reaction to it.
If there is any country that when you have a problem, that country will not defend you as their citizen, it's this country called Kenya.
I hope that you are enjoying that episode, people of the internet. You know, everybody says there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their own town, in their own city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call fathers, but there are no jobs, right? Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world, and there is no one to do them. I have worked for a long time online, I think more than 10 years. I work for Americans, I work for Europeans, I work for the Chinese, the Australian, Canadians, the Ugandans, name all of them. And last year, I had a eureka moment. I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I have been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a book called Gold Mine, 18 Side Hustles for Africans. And it sold a lot of copies. In fact, I was going for, sometimes I was receiving 500 orders in a day. In 2025, something happened. AI came. I think in 2025, AI came. AI came in 2024, but in 2025, it is here with us. And people say AI is taking away their jobs. And for me, I'll say false. There are actually AI jobs. Na mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. We now have in my book 25 online and offline side hustles that you can do anywhere in the world, whether you are in the village, whether you are in your small town, whether you're in a marketplace, whether you are in your house, you can do them. In this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance, drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I have made and lessons I have learned over 15 years in this online job market. You can become an executive assistant to busy folks in Europe, America, and Canada. You can also get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. There are many of them, and they're in my book. You can also build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce without a shilling. You can also become an affiliate marketer or an online English tutor. And you can also do tens of AI jobs, and they're all in these books. If you have a job, that is fine. But I know around you there are so many people that are always looking for jobs and at home watching Netflix. Buy this book for your brother, for your sister, for your mother, cousin, husband, who is back at home all day, all night watching Netflix. Okay? Buy it for your friend. That friend who is always asking you for cash, you can buy this book for them. All the information is in the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or you can go to my website, which is oduorjagero.co.ke. The book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. Or if you're anywhere around the world, the book is $10. So thank you very much. Back to programming.
People from another country can come here and do ugly things on you, and our government will not protect you. Actually, our government will work with an outsider to frustrate you. The behavior of our president, just like Ochuka has said, and the behavior of the Tanzanian president is the same. They all have one thing in common. They want to maintain power that they have. Samia wants to come back for her own term, now that she took over someone else's term. Now she wants to come for her own term. This one wants to come back for a second term. So when they sit on the table, they are two people with one problem. And one problem is, how do we preserve the power that we have? And who is looking like a threat to this power that we have? Samia could mention Boniface Mwangi, and then Ruto is like, hey, and by the way, Boniface Mwangi comes, hey, a phone call. Can we have that person arrested? That can happen very fast, because it takes care of the problems of the two heads of state.
I can imagine that when Boniface Mwangi was arrested in Tanzania, probably a call came from there and said, hey, we have this guy.
Yes. What can we do with him? Who? Boniface Mwangi? We are fine.
Because do you imagine a U.S. citizen being sodomized in Kenya and nothing goes?
That would be...
Yeah, it would be a big foreign relations problem.
Even if you see an American or a grandmother here, and you do something on him, a phone call will ring at Langley, Virginia, and they will know an American citizen in Kenya has a problem. Do we do the same? No. You can be abducted. I was reading a story where if you had a problem with Museveni and he wants you, our government will facilitate that transfer. They will arrest you here, hand you over to the Ugandan authorities, you go deal with Museveni. There's nothing like, this is my citizen. There's nothing like that.
But you used to have a time when people could actually run from one country to the other. And they would be protected. I think Moi scored well.
Moi was better. Because how did Rao Odinga escape to Norway? He used a name, Father who? Was it Father Kunas? He called himself, he shaved his head bald,
okay,
and put on some artificial beards and rosary and robes, and he pretended like a priest. So the fishermen who helped him cross Lake Victoria, they thought he's a priest praying that they catch a lot of fish. He went to Entebbe. Before the authorities knew what was happening, he was in the air going to Norway. Can that happen now? You will be arrested there.
There have been allegations of Uganda.
They will be arrested in Uganda.
Yes.
Police,
and brought back to Kenya.
Yes. So there are things that the current government is doing that is worse than the other governments that we thought were dictatorial. These ones are, this one is, you know, the problem, I'm not actually surprised, because people only do what they know. You cannot do something you don't know. And let's look at the president that we have. What does he know? What has he ever done ever since he came out of school? what has he been involved with? Internship, the internship he did from the university, where did he do it from? Kano headquarters. So he studied and learned a lot of things in Kano.
At Kano headquarters?
Yes.
YK92.
I thought he just joined the Y92. Was he an intern there?
How did he end up in the YK92?
That's how they started.
I've never known. You tell me. What?
He was an intern.
He's a youth operant.
Yes, and he learned a few things. And then Moi liked Ruto because, Moi never used to drink.
Yeah.
And he was one of the religious people.
Churchy.
Churchy person. And William Ruto could actually recite the whole Bible. And William Ruto could sing. And because he was also not a drinker at that time, he used to, when you send him somewhere, he delivers on time. So later on, Moi trusted him. William Ruto has never, he doesn't know how it feels to look for a job or work in any private organization. He has never done that. If he was ever poor, the way he claims, he was poor before he joined the university. But his time at the university,
It was easy. They used to use
if you are a university student running errands for a president, are you really poor? A university student running errands for a president. In 1991, we have, when you go to Nation Archives, you will see President Ruto in 1991 donating 51,000 in a Harambe. 51.
That's a lie.
I don't say things that are not out there so that they don't come
the
to
letter
me.
from the president.
Yes.
That he will be reading.
A letter from the president?
Yes.
In 1991, before he even joined YK92. So this is a guy who doesn't know how it feels to be a jobless young person. So when young people say we are jobless, he doesn't really grasp that. How are you jobless?
It is like the proverbial, if they don't have bread, they should eat
Yes.
cake.
Eat stones or what?
Yes. So, hujakula? Kwa nini? We have food. There is a hotel here. Why are you not? Why have you eaten? Why are you hungry? It's like you don't want to eat. They don't know you don't have money.
Do you think a very interesting connection? Because one of the biggest injustices for young people going to the university was HEF, the new funding model for higher education. Do you think it contributes? Because during their time, there was boom.
Yes.
And on top of that, being the errand boy for the biggest politician in the country back then, do you think that disconnect contributed to how he manages the country, how he manages education, healthcare?
When you look at someone, people who used to ask very loud questions around free primary education, who are they? It's President Ruto. I think he doesn't like hanging around sharp minds. He wants to be the brilliantest person in the room. So the problem he's having actually is that he's leading people who are very informed, and he doesn't want that. The government finds a very hard time to lead people who are informed, that they know what should happen, when and how. So he wants to use the manual used by Moi, because Moi was leading people who are not so informed. People used to wait for newspapers and listen to radio to know what is going on. Right now, we don't even read newspaper because we contributed to the news that is in the newspaper.
Your news?
Yes. I'm the one who was maybe interviewed so that that newspaper could be written. So, and we are so aware of what is happening. We are so aware of a member of parliament, this is what they should do. A speaker should not be doing this. You see? And that is a problem. That's why there is a deliberate mutilation of the education system, so that you end up with people who are ignorant, and leading them becomes easy. That's why even poverty is no longer a crisis. It's a currency.
It's very intentional.
Yes. You create poverty is actually people struggle. That's why they say you escape poverty. It's actually literally escaping. You are not supposed to get out of there.
By design, yes.
Yes. It's something you are not supposed to get out of poverty. That's the only currency they use. That's why you can use something like bottom up.
Poverty, illness, disease.
Yes.
The same old stuff.
The same old stuff. Why are we having 4 presidents fighting poverty? How difficult is poverty to die? Because it's hard to lead people who are well off. You see? So, and I was saying, William Ruto is behaving the way he is behaving because those are the only things he knows. The people who groomed him into politics used to do nasty stuff. You heard there was a time Rao Odinga was saying, Nyayo House. You are put on the balcony on the 15th floor and you ask questions. If you don't answer the way they want, you are pushed out and they say you committed suicide. Off the 15th floor. And young people who are seeing those things happen at that time, one of them is President Ruto. So the idea of dealing with opponents in his head is the things he used to see.
It's the same ruthlessness.
Yes, ruthlessness. You know, and the fact that he's where he is right now, it means that he was given a chance to come up to where he is. People could have tolerated him, given him a chance. That's why he's president. But he's not doing the same to the other young people. If other governments were as ruthless as he wants to be on young people, then he will not be here today. So the issue is, I like what, is it the personal lawyer to Raila? It's called Paul Mwangi.
Paul Mwangi.
Paul Mwangi said that the noise that is being made by young people is not about us, the old people. They are talking about their life. The older generation created their own rules. But the younger people are trying to imagine a country where they will grow up in, their children will grow up in that country, a country where you want to get married in, and they want to be given a chance to write the rules that govern that country. But I think the older generation does not trust the young people. They don't think they are able to lead the country. They want to cling on to power. They have not grasped with the reality that their time is up. Some of these people need to understand that we have nothing against them, but they have just been in one place for too long.
Did you watch Raila Odinga's interview?
A
lot of people are saying that he did not do well. He's a tired man.
There is an image of Raila that we have in mind. We didn't see that Raila that day. I didn't watch the interview, I just saw the snippets. Because the reason why I just deliberately decided not to watch is because Raila Odinga has been our darling. The politician that we cared for, we risked our life for him. And it's painful to see him go down the way he's decided to go. So you don't want to see that interview and see him struggle to answer questions because it pains you, because genuinely you mean well for him. And you know that the direction he's taking, I could be younger, but I know it's not going to be a good direction because we've tried that kind of reasoning before and it didn't work. So it's painful to see your friend or a person you've supported or a person you looked up to go down the wrong direction. That's why I decided not to watch. And from what I hear, and the snippets that I saw on TikTok and elsewhere, it's not the Raila Odinga that I'm used to. I think he should take some rest. And just if it's organizing politics from behind the scenes. And someone who told him or advised him to go to the media should be fired. I don't think this is the right time. There's a time when
what in your thinking, Ochuka or Joakim, what was he going to the media to do? Why did they seek him out?
Well, Raila Odinga is currently the duster for Ruto. In other words, he's mopping and absorbing all the dirt that President Ruto he should be accountable for. And that's a very big risk, because when you hear him talk about his age and the political sunset years of his life, you imagine that there's some sort of a lovingness. You see, there's a way a grandfather loves children. There's a way he brings them close. And there's a way, when they were still younger, they used to be feisty and vigorous and even harsh or cruel. Children never used to cross closer to them. But when they tone down and they are now older, they're softer. They have more empathy. And I don't see empathy when you're working with the very same person who's killing children. I don't see empathy there. I don't see empathy when the very, very principles that have underpinned your political career for over 40 years, you are now against actively by involving President Ruto, who is indicted in the very many injustices this country is suffering. You know, so I feel it was a very painful interview to watch, because you have this person who you have held on a pedestal almost and glorified because he is worthy of that salt. But then again, you imagine that these blunders are too obvious for him to be making based on his political careership. And then number two, based on the very stakes he's left with. You know, there's very little room for mistake for him, because this one thing can end up being the bigger blotting of an ink in his legacy. I don't know whether he sees that.
You know,
but even if he doesn't see it, then people close to him should see.
People who are close to Raila Odinga do not care. If there are any selfish group of people, it's people around Raila Odinga. They don't care whether he's going to lose the election.
Who are they?
The people around Raila are widely known.
I don't know any.
You don't know
I don't know any.
Then you must be coming from us.
No, I actually know the daughter.
Well, that's one of them.
That's all I know. I mean,
the daughter could be different. The family could be different. But all these political honchos around Raila Odinga.
Who are these people? Because I know Rengo is no longer, is Rengo close?
I don't see him being close.
Not as much as the
Look at the people who are holding.
His brother was like
the brother to Raila Odinga is the biggest beneficiary of the position Raila Odinga has held. Actually, Raila Odinga was supposed to be older than Oburu, because he gives direction more than Oburu can give. The people around Raila Odinga, members of parliament, those appointed to cabinet, they are only looking on how to benefit from Raila Odinga's position. They don't care what happens to Raila Odinga. As far as where he is can enable you to get a cabinet slot, his position can give you a ticket to run in his party and be a member of parliament. That's what they care about. For us who support Raila without getting anything, who have been supporting him, we actually care, because we were not supporting him so that he give us anything. We just wanted him to get a chance to lead, because we felt when he leads, the country will go to the right direction. But there are people who have been supporting Raila because they know that when he wins or he gets to this place, then I will get this. People in ODM, once you win your election as a member of parliament, the time that Raila is usually very lonely is after elections. You can see him.
Those visits are no longer
yes.
there.
After elections.
Those goats.
Yes. You see, after he makes that speech of conceding defeat and promising to go to court, those people vanish and he's left there alone. The first few weeks or first month, you can see Raila in office. He doesn't have anyone around, because people who were hovering around him wanted a chunk of a cake that will fall from his court. So if there are people who should be called out, it's those surrounding Mzee. They should tell him. Because they know how the mood is. Mzee could be could be thinking it's just like the old time. Saa hii pande juu ya gari apite hapa tuone kama watu watamshangilia. There was a time Mzee, you saw him walk around, alikuwa anatoka Ngong Road. And the whole city came to a standstill, just Mzee walking. Today, let him walk. We see what happens. Ati Raila anasema atakuwa in TV and people don't even know? Come on. Is that the Raila we know? You saw the views on NTV when he was live.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
Even after that, it was 78,000 in the morning. I expected to get 1 million views.
You can, that's not the image of Raila that we have in mind. I think someone should tell him the timing is wrong.
Probably he's wondering about his backyard, his voter-rich backyard. Who is going to take the mantle? Do you see anybody taking over from him? Do you see, or we shouldn't even have that discussion yet?
The region of Western Kenya and Nyanza, you don't groom anyone. There you emerge yourself and you jostle your way to the limelight. That's what Raila Odinga did.
Even against his father.
Yeah, even against his father. You remember, was it in 1993? After his father had just lost the election and they were having some rally in Nakuru, Raila Odinga arrived last. He made sure everyone had come and seated, including his father. He arrived last with a crowd. The program had to stop. Then he didn't go direct to the podium. He decided to walk around the stadium. And he had to be begged. The MC had to beg him, Raila Odinga, please, just come and sit down.
Some of these stories that you guys come up with are just bonkers.
It's not a story.
It's not a story.
Whenever you hear me say something, after this podcast, go and do some digging.
Why was he doing that?
It's a show of power.
Just spectacle.
It's the same thing the Gen Zs are doing now. They are saying we are the ones to take over the mantle. You've done your part. Can you rest? It's the same mentality. It's only that they are doing it differently. And it's from that time that people came to learn that there is someone called Raila Odinga, and he's very powerful.
Probably more than his father.
Yes. That's when they said, even when Jaramogi goes, we have Raila Odinga. How did he come to build his name around the country? It's because of defiance. In this political organization of this country, you don't get anywhere when you are not defiantly going against the grain.
There's something very interesting that I want us to disabuse. When Raila says that people don't get why he's making certain decisions at very late in his political career.
Which
And
decisions?
I feel like it's a big farce because it seems he wants the country to believe that he still has the bigger, greater good intact. I feel like he departed from that long time ago, so much so that the people who had never seen it at 2013 are actually now realizing that actually this guy has never wanted to be at the helm of leadership as of 2013. So I want us to break that down because I don't feel like he has the best interest of the country in his heart anymore.
We
in
had
my opinion.
the Raila Odinga. The Raila Odinga of 2007 was the most ideal Raila Odinga. The one we had after 2013, especially after we voted in Uhuru, we got a different man. And because we were so much in love with the guy, we couldn't really tell that we are slowly deviating from the pattern. The Raila Odinga of 2007, the reason why I can excuse him for that in 2007, the reason why he agreed to Anusu Mukate is because they put options on the table. They say now, if you continue with the conflict, Benjamin Mkapa was the president of Tanzania. He had lobbied for UNEP headquarters to be moved to Tanzania because this Kenya is no longer stable politically. The same thing with, was it Jacob Zuma? Or was it, yes, was it Jacob, the president of South Africa? Good luck?
Not Jacob Zuma.
Was it Good Luck?
Yes. Zuma, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In South Africa. He had also lobbied for the two refugee camps, Kakuma and Dadaab, to be moved from Kenya to South Africa. The amount of money that comes into the country through those refugee camps are enough to control inflation in the country. And taking away, the implication of taking away Kakuma, Dadaab, and UNEP headquarters on the economy of Kenya was going to be devastating. So Raila thinks about that and say, if that is what will happen to the country, then we better agree. At that time, it was for us to get a better country. But after we voted in Uhuru in 2013, I've always thought he got angry with Kenyans. Because how do you vote in people who have just come from the ICC? People who have been charged with crimes against humanity. Just the other day, the church was burned, and these people are the ones who have been said to have orchestrated that. They have killed hundreds of Kenyans, and Kenyans still went ahead and voted them. So what do? You realize that these Kenyans are not going to change anytime soon. What we do now is to benefit from their ignorance. So you vie for presidency, knowing that they will vote for your competitor, but you still vie and campaign very viciously, and you know that your competitor does not have the ability to lead this country. And at some point in time, he will be so out. He will be so unpopular. And because you have the capital, people are behind you. You know, to some extent, you will twist the president to do what you want. And that's what Raila has been doing. Because there are three pillars to run a government: money, guns, and people. You use money to provide services for the people and buy guns to protect the people. So Raila comes and takes away the people. Then the government remains with money and guns. And because without the people, the government becomes unstable, and the president is provoked to use money to buy guns to harm the people. Once you do that, you've crossed the red line. Then we have something against you. We tell you, hey, you can see you've killed people. See, yes. Now these are our demands. And because you have done something wrong, you have to agree to the demands. Then he comes, joins the president. Then the people, because we believe in him, we say, now the country is stable and calm. We continue up to the next general election. Then the same cycle happens. Then there is a rapprochement. Then to the next election. You realize that from 2007 up to now, the issues are still the same. The issues that people are talking about every election and every time is the same issues. Job creation, madawa kwa hospitali, barabara, stima. But every time, what do? We postpone the agitation and create a false sense of stability and peace.
Through dialogues.
Through dialogues. then there is some quiet in the country. Then when the election happens, those issues re-emerge. Then through dialogues again, we postpone the agitation for 5 years. The same issues re-emerge. I have been saying that if we are not careful, there will come a time where the eruption of these issues will be so bad that we will not be able to contain. You know, most of the people being recruited kwa jeshi saa hii, they are not the same as the ones who are retiring. The perception of how life is, even in the military, is different. You know, the leadership, the generals are older people of about 50 years and above. But the captains are the young people. And if we are not going to be careful in how we run this country, we could wake up one day and this country is not the same. Like what happened in Burkina Faso. A bloodless coup, like what Muammar Gaddafi did. Muammar Gaddafi did not overthrow the country when he was even 27 years, I think so. A young captain, you see breaking news, you see the president kneeling down here, the CDF kneeling down here, and the other generals, Army, Navy, and Air Force, kneeling down. And the young clique of military men and women are behind them. And they take over the country. They say, kama wewe ni mwanasiasa, sijui wewe ni senator, wewe ni polisi, nyumbani. Every police station is now manned by military. And because something I like in the young people that we have today, they are not greedy. They just have a problem with how the country is being run. So that could happen, and you see the person who has taken over now, it could be a very junior military person, say that in 3 months' time we will announce the election. And if you have served in any capacity in the previous governments, you are not eligible to run. We could go there. It looks like a movie. But the way we are handling things, that could happen. Oi, dialogue.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. That was a very, very nice. All right, people of the internet, thank you very much for tuning in to Political Headache. And we are seeing you guys, and you are starting to like Political Headache. I'll see a lot of subscribers coming in, especially in the last 1 or 2 weeks. And thank you very much. For people that are enjoying this podcast, a lot of people have called me and said that Political Headache imechemka. Imechemka kabisa. So please subscribe, hit on that notification bell so that when we have another one, you are going to be duly notified. So, and if you want to come to this podcast, somebody called me today and said, I want to come and give a response to Joakim.
Welcome.
With the hot seat.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Until another episode. Bye for now.
Cheers.